Throughout high school, I had no clue on how to talk to girls. First relationship happened when I was 18. She ended up leaving me for her best friend until my friend said to me, Andrew, have you even bothered to read this ebook that I sent you 6 months ago? If I knew this like 4 or 5 years ago, my life would be so completely different.
Andrew Gung is a social competence and dating coach who helps men build self-belief and create meaningful connections.
I was behaving in a way that was repelling women. And so my mindset shifted when I read these books. And I was like, how could...
Andrew, welcome to The House Story.
Thanks for having me.
Mate, I'm very excited to go through a few things with you today. You're a relationship expert. You're a confidence expert. You've got a very interesting story. So why don't we start with you as a young individual? Tell me a bit about Andrew.
Yeah, gotcha. Born and raised in Melbourne, third generation Chinese Australian. So kind of had the best of both worlds, bit of the traditional Asian upbringing, but also mixed into the Western society of things. So yeah, I would say growing up, it had its challenges. Definitely it had its challenges, and trying to fit into society was probably one of the most challenging things of me as a young kid trying to figure out. Yeah.
Did you end up finishing school, or did you go to uni or trades?
Yeah, no, I finished high school. After high school, got into... So the direction that I took was, because I've got a very creative brain, I went into multimedia, got a diploma in that, and then realized I love playing video games and I'm very good with drawing, creating artistic kind of characters and all of that. So got into 3D game animation.
Yeah, cool.
And then landed a job into that field not too long after that. So it was a bit of a interesting journey. Don't regret it. It was really nice. It was a really good experience.
And how do we get to where we are today running a... How would you describe yourself?
Social confidence and dating coach. Throughout high school, I had no clue on how to talk to girls. And so when I started seeing people, a guy, a girl talk to each other, I thought that was very bizarre in high school. And I thought, do these guys like each other? So that concept to me was very foreign. And I had no idea how to talk to girls. Like, it was really, really weird. And, you know, you go through high school, you have like a crush, and then you don't know how to even talk to her, even ask her out to the formal. And so I had a lot of self-confidence issues. So going through high school, I struggled massively to know who I am. And I think most people do. Like, they don't really know their true identity. I certainly didn't. And I was heavily stuck in my comfort zone. And I had no idea or no concept of how dating worked. First relationship happened when I was 18. That probably lasted 6 months. And she ended up leaving me for her best friend. And that basically felt like someone just pulled the rug underneath me. And I hit rock bottom for the first time in my life. Never knew what depression felt like until the age of 18 when that happened. And so I held on to this resentment towards dating and relationships, and then got into a second relationship probably 9 months later. And that was more of like a rebound that ended into a 12-month relationship. And then it kind of fell through the cracks. She ended up leaving me for someone else. And I was like, oh, not this again. And then when I hit 23, I'm just like, why is this happening? Going through all this emotional pain and just starting to think, man, women are just shit. And at the age of 23, got into another relationship, fell in love. 6 months in, started getting rocky. I didn't know how to handle like arguments or disagreements and any of this stuff. I didn't even know how to even push a relationship forward. Like, how does a relationship work? And so I started seeing repetitive patterns. I was like, hang on, this happened in my previous relationship. And this also happened in my previous relationship before that. I then had this belief that relationships was dog eat dog. You either take someone else's partner or you try and keep onto your partner and push away other guys. So this is basically what I had built as a belief at that point. And so I had a lot of resentment towards just relationships and women at the time, thinking, who even wants a relationship? Until my friend said to me, Andrew, you're being really emo. Have you even bothered to read this ebook that I sent you 6 months ago? And I said, no. What was it about? And he goes, dude, this could have saved you from all this heartbreak. And he goes, have a look at what I sent you. And I looked at it, and the book was called Attraction Isn't a Choice. And then the other ebook was called Double Your Dating. And then that piqued my interest. I hated reading at the time, but it piqued my interest because I'm like, it has everything to do with my situation. And when I read through the index of that book, it pointed out things like attraction traits, unattraction traits, how to build a long-lasting relationship, what women find repulsive in a guy. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is stuff that I need to know. And when I was going through these chapters, it basically, I felt like this book or these books were written about me. And I was like, how does a human being, how does a guy not know this stuff growing up? Like this literally, if I knew this like 4 or 5 years ago, I would have just, my life would be so completely different. And so my motivation levels went from 0 to 100 when I read these books. And I learned things like how to become, like what attracts women naturally to a man. Because they're drawn to masculine energy at the end of the day. And I had no idea what masculinity was. I had no idea what these attraction traits were. I was like, what is a trait? And it listed these things out. I remember specifically it said, women desire men that have leadership abilities. They can make decisions, so they're decisive. They're not indecisive. They have goals in life, so they're ambitious. I learned all these new words. I was like, what is ambition? What is leadership? Like, do I have to be, in the government to be a leader, or do I need to run my own company? I was like, I had no idea. It talked about, what else? Unattractive traits. Said jealousy. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm really jealous. But I thought that was how you should behave, based off movies and things that you see in society. So I was behaving in a way that was repelling women. So one of the biggest things was being indecisive, not having any goals. It was basically the opposite of what women are attracted to. And I was like, oh my gosh. I thought always asking my girlfriends, hey, what do you feel like doing tonight? What do you want to do? That was actually putting them in the masculine role. And if you do that so many times repetitively over months, they're going to feel that they're dating another girl. And that's exactly what I was doing over all these years. And so my mindset shifted when I read these books. And I was like, how could I not know this? As I was working in this 3D game job, I was continuing to learn about how to become more of a masculine man. What roles does a man play in life? How does dating work? How does relationships work? So I was still learning this stuff while I was working this job, while I was working in this company for that last year and a half. It was in a small office space. You go in, no one really talks to you. You just hear everyone typing on their keyboards. And I would always look outside the window every day just thinking, man, like you can hear all these people, sounds like everyone's having fun outside. It's all sunny outside, but I'm stuck in this office, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday to Friday. Is this what I'm meant to be doing for the rest of my life for 40 years? And I questioned this for about a year and a half. And so when I lost my job, I went on, Centrelink, so government payments. And that's when I needed to really reflect upon what I wanted to do in life. But you can imagine my mindset was still quite fresh. I didn't have a business bone in my body. I didn't know how to start up my own business. The idea of starting up my own business was there, but I was too scared. And I thought, what am I really good at doing? I've spent so many years to learn how to be good at dating. And at that point, at the age of 26, I was pretty good at dating. Now, not going to lie, I did go on a big dating spree from like the age of 24 to my early 30s of just having a lot of casual dates. Because relationships weren't on my forefront of my mind at that stage at all, especially what I went through. So I knew how to, get a lot of short-term, long-term dates, and I was very open to all these girls as well. So I thought, what am I really good at? I'm actually really good at teaching guys how to be more confident with women, how to be better at dates, how to get the girls that they like, and how to attract them, because I was studying this for my own personal reasons. And so I was already telling my friends and giving them this advice. But I was like, I was too scared to even just go from, say, being a 3D game animator to calling myself a dating coach. I did not have the bone in my body to do that. So the idea was there. I remember inviting some friends over to my parents' house. I sat them all in my lounge room. I printed out a cheat sheet of all my notes that I wrote from all these books that I read, because I was really dedicated on learning this stuff, and about female psychology, about how the brain works, about how and why men are attracted to certain things in women and why women are attracted to men. It was like an endless rabbit hole to go down. And I loved this stuff. This stuff really excites me. But at the same time, I was like, can I make a career out of this? It's a bit of a laughable idea. But I just taught my friends purely for free, just because I wanted to help them. And it helped me absorb this knowledge as well. But I was like, nah, I don't know if I could do this. Don't know where to start. And then the idea was there, but I didn't action it. But I started reading a few books on business, because I was like, if there's anything that I need to do now in my life, I need to action it now, because I'm getting close to 30 and I don't want to be sitting in my comfort zone up until 30 and then having this awakening. So the idea got planted in my mind at the age of 26. I need to start my own business at least, or do something in that direction. I can't rely on, having an income coming from someone who tells you the hours you need to work and when you can take a toilet break and when you can take a holiday leave. I was like, that's not for me. At the same time, I was still applying for jobs and applying for good roles in jobs in Sydney, because there was more opportunity in Sydney than Melbourne. And they were offering like 65,000, 70K jobs. And I was like, okay, that sounds motivating. Because, I've been stuck on like 30 grand for like the last year and a bit. So anyway, this is where life took a bit of a turn. And I truly do now believe in law of attraction. So what happened? Random friend of mine gave me a phone call one day when I was looking into starting up my own business. Again, no idea how to start. Random friend of mine that I hadn't talked to in probably a year. And I met him through the clubbing days. He gave me a phone call and he said, Andrew, I started up a business. It's a really good idea. And I thought of you. So would love to invite you to this event. And I'm going to be speaking, and I think this would be quite beneficial for you. And I was like, okay, cool. It's a bit of a random phone call, but sure. What else am I doing? I'm on Centrelink right now. I'm just going to be at home watching TV. I thought, yes, screw it. I'm just going to go to this event. I drove there. I had no idea what's going on. Everyone was well dressed in like suits and everything, and everyone was saying hi to everyone, being polite. And that's like, I was a bit out of my comfort zone. And I was just dressed like just a casual kid off the street. And then my friend, he was really well dressed, being that I met him in the clubs, and he's usually just dressed like me. And he's like, Andrew, good to see you. Yeah, cool. Thanks for coming, blah, blah, blah. And he's like introducing me to all these guys that are really well dressed and are like, oh, nice to meet you. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? I'm a bit skeptical. And then anyway, sat me down in this seminar, and Then they started talking about the trends of health and wellness and the trends of where society's headed working in a day-to-day job. And I was like, holy crap, this is very relevant to me. And then they're talking about how job stability is not really a thing anymore, and how you're kind of capped at the hours per day that you trade. So basically like trading time for money. And they mentioned all of these concepts that really resonated with me. And I'm like, holy crap, this is literally what I'm learning right now. Because I don't want to be stuck working a 9 to 5. I don't want to be stuck being capped, earning paycheck to paycheck. And then they talked about this. You know, you work 1 hour, you get paid 1 hour. You work a week, you get paid a week. You stop working, no income. I'm like, fuck, this is what I want to know. And then they talked about generating a business that you trade time for money, and then generating a business that generates passive income where you leverage other people's time. And I was like, this is the direction I want to go. And I had no idea what they were trying to sell to me at the time, but I was basically sold. I was like, whatever it is, this is the direction. And then they talked about how you work as a team, how you work as a community. It's all about self-development, people bringing people up, and you get opportunities to travel while developing on your people skills, your leadership skills. They said leadership skills. I was like, leadership, hang on. That was a part of this book that I read many, many years ago. They were talking about like how you can set your goals, how much income you can make. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so relevant that it couldn't have chosen a better time in my life. The fact that I lost my job and I'm now not wanting to go back to a job.
Yeah.
But these books that I read so many years ago about how to become this attractive man.
Yeah.
The pathway a man should be taking in his life. Having leadership skills, ambitions, direction, being decisive, being a good communicator. This was all in what they were selling me at that seminar. And I was like, whatever it is, I'm sold. And then it was basically an event for network marketing, so direct sales.
Okay. Yeah.
And I had never heard of this stuff before. And so my friend came back to me after the event and he said, hey, what do you like best? And I said, dude, I was impressed. The fact that I used to see you 2 years ago clubbing and just getting drunk, to the fact that you're presenting yourself in a really professional light. You're such a great speaker. I said, did this all come from doing this business? And he said, yes. I said, dude, I have no idea what it is, whether it's illegal or not. I'm sold. I'm in. Okay. I said, dude, this is what I'm looking for, whatever it is. So basically, I took on board this journey of network marketing. And not to deviate off the topic, but this was a lot of where my personal growth came from. Because I went through the struggles of what a business owner would go through, but I learned a lot from 6 and 7 figure income earners. And that was very, very valuable. Like you could not put a price on that. And so I was continually networking with these high net worth people from around the world.
And this was an event in Melbourne, you said?
Yep. It all started from one event in Melbourne that then kind of made me expand on this network marketing company globally.
Yep. And then you launch your business a few years later.
So then, age of 31, I had a chat to one of my mentors at the time. I did pay him quite a significant amount at the time just to get some guidance from him. Had a Zoom call with him. Again, this was my next big leap in life. And I said to him, and this is like he'd definitely be a multi-millionaire. I don't know if he's in the billions now, but at the time he was a multi-millionaire. And I paid good money just for 1 hour of his time. And he gave me a good slap in the face over a Zoom call. And he basically said, Andrew, there's 3 things that's going to determine where you are going to be in the next 5 years. And number 1, it's the people you hang around with, your associates. Number 2, it's the self-development that you're doing and the books that you're reading. And number 3, it's your environment. He goes, let's look at all of that. how many of your friends that you hang out with are making six figures? And I thought to myself, oh man, none of them really. Like, I can think of maybe 2 or 3, but am I close to them? No. And he goes, okay, that's a big issue because it's not rubbing off the right way for you. What is your living circumstance at the moment? I said, I've literally got almost no savings at all. I'm living paycheck to paycheck, no savings, living at home with my parents, my middle brother, and I just feel stuck in life. And he goes, that's a burden for you because if anything, it's eating you up. You're consistently thinking that you should be up here, but you're in an environment that's kind of still bringing you down. And I said to him, but Simon, like, my mum wants me to stay home because, you know, like, she's like, you know, save money, then I can move out. And he goes, Andrew, all due respect to your parents, that's a mediocre mindset. He goes, a rich man's mindset is how much more I can make, not how much I can save. He goes, if you really want to make multiple 6 figures, even 7 figures, you need to think differently. He goes, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you paid me to help you. I'm helping you. So he goes, this is what you need to do. You need to move out ASAP, even in a cheap place, just to get away from your family and being in a different environment and start associating with different people. And the sooner you do this, the sooner you're going to reach your goals. And he told me all of these stories, and I was like, oh man, this is really out of my comfort zone. And he said, your environment's letting you down. He goes, I don't know who's doing your washing, who's paying your bills. Do you even pay for bills? He goes, I don't know any of that. But he goes, you're living a very slow life right now. And he goes, you need to change your environment straight away and think about your social circle. And I thought about this, and this was a big slap in the face. I was like, this is why I paid him. But I was like, okay, this is that next leap in life because I'm now over the age of 30. I've got nothing in my savings, almost nothing. I'm still living at home. I'm still paying off my car. I'm like, okay. I just looked at my life like a computer game. I'm like, let's just take that leap. Said to my parents, guys, I'm moving out. They said, but with what money? I said, I need to figure this out. I've gotten this far in life now without needing or relying on a 9-to-5 job. Yes, I don't have much finances to show for, but I've got the drive. And I've always figured things out. If I can land on my own 2 feet, I'll figure it out. So I then moved out to a nice apartment in not too far from the city. It's like pretty much smack bang on the edge of the city in Melbourne. And I just thought to myself, I need to find a way to make ends meet just to pay off rent per month so I can survive and just the bare minimal. And so I had enough money just to survive for at least 2 months. And I thought to myself, I remember if there's any advice a mentor gave me, it's when your back's against the wall is when you're going to perform. I had a pen. It was a nice summer night. And I took the advice that my coach gave me at the time. He said, you know what? Just find a nice quiet place that stimulates you emotionally, get your thoughts running, and just write down all these ideas of what vehicles you feel is going to help you achieve that ideal life. I remember I sat in front of this yacht, and I don't know how much it would have been, but I was just staring at it, and I sat in front of it for a good hour, and I had this book, and I thought, fuck, this is where my life needs to change, because I look at all these successful entrepreneurs and business owners, and I thought to myself, surely I can be one of those success stories in life. But it just comes down to the decisions I make now. And so I wrote in my book, I wrote down my goals, and I wrote in my book, what am I good at? And it came back down to social confidence, dating, relationships. I was like, oh man, this is what I've spent most of my life learning.
Yeah.
No one put a gun to my head to learn this. I just have this enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And I kept writing down like, okay, like little things. And I was like, okay, this is getting my blood pumping. So then I was thinking, what name could I give this? And I wrote all these names, and then it came down to core. I was like, okay, confidence. Okay, that's good. Yes. Coaching's in there. Okay, confidence coaching sounds a bit lame. I was like, okay, confidence coaching. And then it was like core confidence coaching. I'm like, damn, I've got it. So I circled that, and I was like, what kind of man represents a good, confident man that people know? I was like, James Bond. So I remember I drew the James Bond logo and I was like altering it. And then that's when my drive happened. I was like, this is it. I've held off on this idea for so many years of my life. The biggest thing that held me off on this was I realized that day was caring about what other people thought. So I was like, you know what? I need to cut my old life out and just start fresh, make new friends, make new associates, network. And I had a really good networking skill. So I was like, no doubt I can network with other business owners. So I thought, this is the direction. This is it. Take that big plunge. Who cares what other people think?
And so looking back now, is there anything that stands out to you over the past few years as being like a common situation or a common problem that you find men running into?
In regards to the clients that I coach?
Just in general, like dating and confidence.
Yep. There's two common things. Now, this is interesting. It's very different to the women. We did coach women, but we don't coach them as much, not as much. The common challenges that I find men face, doesn't matter where, it's dating related or not. The two biggest things is they procrastinate. They procrastinate and then they fall into avoidance behavior. And this is a repetitive pattern I see over and over with so many guys. Because I've been doing this coaching for such a long time, I see this in so many guys. They want what they want, but they will create all these limiting beliefs to actually stop themselves from taking action. And then it goes in this cycle of avoidance behavior. And then they lie to themselves and like, oh, no, I don't need to focus on this. Life will just happen, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so I see this almost every week because having coached in this industry for a long time, some guys that reached out to me 4 or 5 years ago that didn't take action on the coaching, they reached out, 3 years ago, 4 years later, and they're like, hey, do you remember me? Yeah, I reached out to you. Yeah, I've now realized I should have taken action. Can you still help me? Are you still willing to help me?
Yeah.
It's a common problem.
And so why do you think people fall into that same loop, that trap?
I feel it's a fear of, it would be to do with the fear of failure and a fear of rejection. Yeah. Because I'm trying to understand what I used to be like. And I was once that guy. So I feel it has to do with the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, and the fear of being judged.
Is there advice that you find, or is there advice that you wish you could scream at your clients that maybe you don't get a chance to tell them, Andrew?
Things that I would scream at them.
But just things you wish you could just really hit home or drill home that you don't get enough of an opportunity to.
Yeah, stop wasting these precious moments in their life, because procrastination actually wastes their time, and they've wasted so many years of their life to even get to where they are now. And so if they keep delaying that process, they're just going to be in a worse off position. So stop being a procrastinator, basically, because that is such a common thing.
I hear a lot of younger people saying now that it's really hard to date on the apps and that they're toxic. And I hear that from both sides. What are your thoughts?
No, so it's dating apps, they're still quite relevant. They work really well. They are frustrating. It's just, look, dating is a frustrating pool. It's a frustrating topic altogether. So it's not to say they're bad and it's toxic. Yes, I will admit in this day and age, from a man's point of view, it can be very frustrating, because what they're dealing with a lot of in this day and age is there's a lot of women out there that kind of do the dating apps not with the intention to date, but purely for the external validation seeking factor. And it's unfortunate, but it does exist a lot. And yeah, I know of so many women out there, they set it up just to get the validation of likes, just to know that they're wanted. And then they'll just, maybe message guys here or there, but then they'll just delete the app, a few weeks later. That's one common thing that happens. And the second common thing that also is there is, well, nowadays society has changed so much that people just easily ghost. Okay. And back when I
What
started...
is ghosting for those that maybe not everybody knows?
Yeah, sure. So ghosting is simply when a person just decides to cut all communication with the other person and just cut them off clean, move on in life. Now, both men and women do this. And what I realized, this never used to happen back in my earlier years of dating when I was in my 18, 19, 21. Ghosting was never a thing. People would always still reply.
Why do you think that it's become a thing?
Yep, because technology has evolved since then. We now have, we can now access a guy or a girl on the other side of the world from the touch of our mobile phones. So we're now in this abundance world of accessing people from different cultures, communities around the world. So because we're now in this thought process of abundance, we're just like, you know what? I don't need to talk to him or her, blah, blah, blah. And so it's just how our mindsets have shifted like that. We don't really value that connection as much anymore. The people that do, I know this sounds a bit odd, but the people that do value these interactions a lot more are people that are, from my experience anyway, are usually people that have been brought up in the country or in small country towns because they don't rely on social media and all of this stuff. And so you will never get them ghosting you. And that's one common thing that I've noticed over all these years. So guys will find it frustrating on the dating apps. They will most likely have a boring conversation, not knowing how to converse over a dating app. And then the girl was like, nah, conversation's going nowhere. I'm just going to leave him and talk to one of these other 50 guys that are messaging me, right? So women are in a lot more abundance than men are. So women have the option to just like, nah, screw this guy. Yeah, so...
Andrew, if this was your last podcast, what's something that you'd want someone to take away from it?
The biggest advice that I was given in my life that I really, really value and I've applied and it's worked really well in my life is choose your friends wisely. Choose the people you hang out with. In particular, the quality of people. At some stage in your life, you're going to need to do that. So you'd much rather do that sooner in life than later because that plays a big impact on how you think, how you behave, the direction you take in life, and especially valuing your time. Your time is very valuable. Like who you give your time out to is so important. And if sometimes people don't understand that concept. And so that was probably the best advice that I was given. And since I've applied that, life has changed a lot. My finances has changed a lot. My business growth has changed a lot.
Andrew, thank you so much for joining me.
Absolutely my pleasure.